What's up everybody, Superworks fan here for Mustang Weekly Update number 66 on this Friday. I decided to go back to the weekly update format just for this week because of the topic at hand, and I just wanted to, focus on the Mustang this week since there aren't too many news stories. I also apologize for the sunglasses. It's just very bright out, and so I'd be squinting like an idiot if I didn't have these on. So you'll have to apologize. I have to apologize, I should say. If it gets a little less bright, then I will take them off. But the thing I want to talk about this week is the new little scare that the Mustang gave me, and it's not that big of a deal. It's a common established thing. Basically what happened is I was hanging out at a car show with my buddies last Friday night, and I decided to warm my car up before I was leaving. I make sure that the car is fully up to temperature before I go into boost and all that kind of stuff. And so I just decided to let it idle because we were getting ready to leave in a few minutes, and it started idling and it's all good. And then after a few minutes of it sitting there, it just starts smoking, and it's light, and I started filming it because I was like, oh, this is kind of weird. And so I just started filming the smoke just to kind of document it. And then it started getting worse, and I quit filming because I was like, all right, I got to figure out what's going on. And it got pretty thick and started to kind of scare me. And so I since I'm always, like I said, on the Mustang forums all the time, I'm familiar with all the issues with the EcoBoost. This is a known issue, but it caught me off guard for the reason that I'm running the Cobb catted downpipe, and usually the people that get smoke at idle are running catless downpipes, and it's the lack of back pressure and the crankcase pressure that throws it off slightly and causes the smoking issue. But it's not entirely just because of a downpipe, because there have been a good amount of stock cars that had this smoking issue. So many, in fact, that Ford has issued a TSB, like recall type thing. If the car displays this issue, you take it into the dealership and they install a new oil separator that will supposedly fix the issue and get rid of the smoking. So it's an established Ford problem, and they know that it's a problem, but it just seems to be provoked a little bit more, or at least it's more common with the cars with downpipes for whatever reason. I never had this issue, and I've been running this downpipe now since January, so it's kind of surprising that it just starts up now. I figured if it was going to act up, it would have acted up back in January when I put it on, but it's just now did it. But it only did it once, so I'm not freaking out. It's not the end of the world, because I thought, oh crap, this is going to happen all the time. But I've been driving this car, every day here since then, and it hasn't smoked again. It was a one-time thing, and I hope that it stays a one-time thing, because I really don't want to have to bother with fixing it, because here's my dilemma. Because I did these modifications, and I'm probably going to do another video talking about my thoughts on the mods after the fact here and everything. But since I've done these modifications and I have the tune on the car, Ford will not do anything. If I take it in, they're going to flag it as being, oh, this guy voided his warranty with his tune, and basically refuse to do this TSB, because even though this TSB is a Ford thing and they recognize that all the cars could potentially have this issue that were within the certain build dates, they won't do it on a modified car, and they won't fix it because they have to reflash the PCM, which is the ECU here in the Fords. They have to reflash that, and so if you have an aftermarket tune, then it's going to freak out, and it won't be compatible with their software, and so they can't do the TSB correctly, because part of the TSB is they have to do this reflash in conjunction with the new part. They can't just put the new part on and walk away. So that's kind of the dilemma there. And for some of you saying, why don't you just flash it back to stock? The car won't run correctly at all with the downpipe on the stock tune, and so that could be even more dangerous. So I definitely don't want to just drive it to the dealership with a stock tune. And they also can still see the tune after you've removed it. They can see how many times you've flashed the car. They do have a flash counter and all that kind of stuff, and so they can tell, so that kind of sucks, because I can't even flash it back to stock. So the only way I could really fix this is to fix it myself, because Ford won't do it for me, unfortunately, because of the mods. And that's my own fault, for doing the modifications, so I don't blame Ford for that, although it kind of sucks that this is an actual Ford problem and they're just not fixing it because of the mods. But that's their right to do that, since I modified the car. So that's kind of my dilemma right now. And so I can install it myself. The problem is I hate I really hate installing mechanical stuff on cars. I hate wrenching on cars whenever it comes to stuff like that. The main reason being, I enjoy like doing the work. It doesn't bother me, but it always takes me 10 times longer than it's supposed to take, because there's either a stupid plastic clip that won't come out, or there's some stupid thing that always gets me held up for hours on end and drives me crazy. And it's just kind of soured my whole experience. And again, this is something that, again, is Ford's problem, that I guess, you know, with downpipes, sometimes they act up a little bit easier. And so it's kind of annoying that it's a manufacturing defect from Ford that I personally have to fix, even though, you know, like I said, it is because of the modifications, but just kind of annoying. So I'm just keeping my fingers crossed that it doesn't smoke again. And it was a one-time fluky weird thing, and that's it. So it's just, you know, little annoying things. Like, I swear, this car, I mean, some cars really do have more of a personality than others. This car for sure has a personality. It's like it never wants me to be 100% comfortable with it. Like, I was, you know, excited about driving this car daily because I don't have press cars here for the next 2 weeks. So I was like excited, like, oh, I'm going to drive it every day again. It's going to be great. I miss driving this thing, and I do miss driving it. It's a ton of fun, and I love it. I still love driving it every day, even despite my paranoias with the engine and, you know, this new issue and stuff. But it's like it never wants me to be comfortable. I can't just like relax and enjoy this car. There's always some issue that's in the back of my mind. There's always some paranoia that are sometimes me just probably overreacting, but there's times like this where it actually did smoke, and now I have to constantly stare in my rearview mirror every time I'm in a red light and pray that it doesn't start smoking like crazy out of the back and causing a smoke show for everyone. So that's, you know, it's a little frustrating, honestly. But like I've said in my video about when I plan to sell this car, I don't plan to sell it for another year, simply because I think that it'll be worth waiting for the 2018 refresh, which is going to have, you know, the different front end, different back end, probably a little more horsepower, a few other toys probably. And I'm keeping my fingers crossed for some kind of Bullet or Mach 1, or maybe by next year I'll be able to afford a Shelby. Who knows? But you know, so I want to wait, because I mean, you know, I can get a screaming deal on a 2016 GT right now. I mean, I've been looking, trust me, all this crap over the past few months, I've been looking quite a bit at 2016 GTs, but it's just, to me, it still just doesn't make sense. At this point, it's kind of a little bit of a stale design. It's been out for, you know, it's going to be coming on 3 years here with the 2017 model year, that they haven't changed anything on them, honestly. And it's definitely, I think they're going to make some nice improvements for the 2018s. And I don't want to jump the gun and then kick myself and then, you know, be regretting not having the patience to wait while this car is still running totally fine. You know, like I said, it's just this stupid little stuff like, you know, the smoke one time, and, you know, all these other little scares and worries that I've gotten sorted out since. But hey, look at that, it's not as sunny anymore. I can take off the sunglasses. So yeah, but that's what's currently been going on with the Mustang. But like I said, I still love it. I'm not complaining, I'm not like whining or anything, and, you know, I don't want to like act like a baby here, but it's just kind of annoying. You know, you have a car with less than 30,000 miles, a 2015 model car, and it's smoking like a clunker, you know, when you're at a car show and leaving and stuff like that. It's just kind of embarrassing, kind of annoying, and it's just like stuff that you shouldn't have to be dealing with. Like all these little fixes that I've been, you know, doing, and the tweaks and swapping the spark plugs and all these things that you shouldn't have to do to a brand new car, that it's just like, I feel like I'm driving something that's 10 years old that I'm constantly trying to keep it alive or something. It's just a little bit annoying. But anyway, that's it. Oh, nice. GT3 RS just drove by. Anyway, so that's it for all the updates on the Mustang. So I'll send it over to me at the news desk for this week's news. Right, for this week's news, the first thing is, of course, big news for Mitsubishi with all this, you know, shake up with the fuel economy scandal with them, you know, overinflating tires and lying about their numbers for, you know, decades, it says here. The president of Mitsubishi Global has resigned, and so one of the other top executives at Mitsubishi is now taking his spot. And so, you know, like I said last week, if you missed last week's update, Nissan is buying 34% of Mitsubishi, and they're going to have a controlling stake now, and they're going to probably share platforms. And so Nissan is now saying, you know, their focus is going to be helping to restore Mitsubishi's brand reputation, because I guess it took a big hit overseas. They still swear that you know, the cars in North America haven't been affected. So this is just, you know, for Japan and the rest of the world primarily. But crazy to see that, and hopefully everything works out for Mitsubishi. Another person that has left a company is one of the Ford GT engineers. His name's Kip Ewing. He's just left Ford, and it's kind of, you know, one of those typical responses where they say, oh, you know, he left the company, and it's just, it's all cordial and everything's hunky-dory. But it's kind of strange because he's been with Ford for a while now. He developed the original renewed Ford GT back in 2005, and he also worked on the Shelby GT500 and a few other small projects. And so he was working on the new Ford GT here. And so this has some people like worried, like what's going on with the whole Ford GT program here. But they said that he hasn't worked on the GT program for over a year now. So probably not something related to the GT, but who knows? Interesting to hear that he's leaving though. Who knows? Maybe someone commented in the comments section here and was saying how it could possibly be that he's going over to Chevy to work on a mid-engine Corvette or something. Again, just all speculation. Who knows? Maybe the guy just wanted to leave for other reasons or whatever. So not too worried about that. I'm sure the Ford GT is still going to be epic, and whatever caused him to leave is probably unrelated. So cool to see that. Speaking of the GT and stuff, though. There's some interesting news here that there's a report that GM is planning on using carbon fiber wheels in their performance cars as well. So, the Ford GT has carbon fiber wheels, and the Shelby GT350R also has the carbon fiber wheels. And so now GM wants to get in on it. They said they're not sure when they'd be rolling it out or, what cars they would use it on specifically, but they said that the Cadillac V-Series vehicles would be one of the prime targets for carbon fiber wheels because, of the higher price tags of those models as well. But of course, I'm sure the Z06 and stuff like that in the future could benefit from these as well, because I think they said it's about 2 pounds less for each wheel on the Ford GT application. And they said in GM, I think they're kind of waiting a little bit because they're hoping that the carbon fiber wheels will start to get a little bit cheaper as they're more mass produced with all these Ford models, and that'll hopefully help GM to bring the price down on them a little bit. So interesting to hear that, and it will be exciting to see when they start using them. Some official news from BMW this past week is they just announced that here for the 2017 model year, the BMW 2 Series is going to be getting a few name changes here. So they're getting rid of the 228 and the M235i and replacing them with a 230i and an M240i. And so those will, they keep changing them. The 3 Series, they also have the new 340, although the 328 is still sticking around for the moment. So there are some power increases that go along with these naming changes. It's not just changing the names for the sake of changing them. So the new specs here for the 230i, it's going to have 248 horsepower and 258 pound-feet of torque, which is a nice little increase of about 8 horsepower and 8 pound-feet of torque. The M240 now is going to have 335 horsepower and 369 pound-feet of torque, and so those are increases of 15 horsepower and 39 pound-feet of torque. So again, the all-wheel drive is only available on the automatic versions. The 6-speed manual is going to be a no-cost option on the 230, and available on the M240 with rear-wheel drive. And they haven't announced the new pricing for them, but I'm sure there's some kind of price increase to go along with the additional power. But still cool to see that nonetheless. Another cool thing that was announced this past week is Volvo showed off 2 new concepts. One is a crossover, and the other is a sedan hatchback that kind of looks very similar. The crossover version is called the 40.1, and a very creative name, and then 40.2 is the hatch sedan version. And we just have some pictures here of what they look like. We don't have any details on the actual mechanics of them all, except they're going to be riding on Volvo's new CMA platform, which is going to support gasoline engines, but also, of course, the hybrid electric stuff and plug-ins and all that kind of stuff. And I'm sure we'll see multiple variants of this whenever it arrives as a production vehicle. Of course, they're probably going to have some kind of XC40 or XC60 redo, and that's what this will probably be the influence for. And but yeah, I think Volvo's designs recently are just absolutely on point and look really sharp, and so I can't wait to see that in production version. A couple of cars that were spied this past week. First, the Lexus LS was spied, and it has old 2006 Lexus IS headlights on it, and then some clearly prototype taillights there that are just cover-ups to cover the cool lighting elements that they're probably using here. And so cool to see. They're working on a new LS. It does have a nice sleek-looking body. From the side profile there, looks really, really sharp. And so who knows when this will be arriving, but based off of how much camouflage is on it and how it's pretty close to production, I would guess that this will be available for the 2018 model year. But anyway, great to see them working on that. Another car that was spied this past week was the 2018 Audi A8, which is covered in camouflage, but not too much here, and you can kind of make it out really well. And honestly, it just looks like a slightly larger Audi A4, the brand new version of the Audi A4 that was just released recently. And if that's the case, it looks like Audi's following Mercedes with the way that they're designing their cars recently. With Mercedes, it's like they took the S-Class design and then they shrunk it down for the C-Class, and then they also just increased it a little bit for the E-Class, and they all look the same. It's like, would you like your Mercedes sedan in small, medium, or large? And it's like there's no kind of differentiation really between the three. And it looks like Audi may be doing the same thing. This just looks like an Audi A4 XL or something. Who knows? Hopefully with the camouflage peeled away, it'll look a little bit more different. But just based off the way the taillights shape are here, with the illumination and the headlight shape and everything, just looks very, very similar. Hopefully it's a little more creative than that. But interesting to see that nonetheless. And the last story this week is a cool story from Toyota here, and that is that there's a guy who bought a 2007 Toyota Tundra and put roughly 125,000 miles on it per year and has just crossed 1 million miles in this car. He's never had to replace the engine, the transmission, or even had to repaint the car. And the reason why he drives so much is apparently he lives in Louisiana, but he regularly drives to North Dakota, Wyoming, and all the way up to even Virginia for work and for different work assignments. So he just is constantly driving, it seems. And so crossed 1 million miles. And so Toyota actually heard about this, and they wanted to, have his vehicle so that they can learn how to make the Tundra more bulletproof to go forward in the future, and see what they did right on 2007 to make it last so long. And I mean, he did, take it in for the regular maintenance. I think they said he went into the dealership 117 times for the regular scheduled maintenances that are planned for the vehicle. But really impressive. And so in exchange for Toyota taking his old Tundra from him, they gave him a brand new 2016 Tundra here, which is really awesome. To reward him. I mean, because he just drove the car a lot, but they're it's just a really cool thing, and I think it's awesome with Toyota because they're going to get a lot of good insight hopefully out of his car, and he's rewarded with a brand new Tundra, which they said he's a longtime Toyota customer, and so looks like it's really paying off for him. So great to see that. But anyway, that's it for all the news this week, guys. So send it back to me in the car. Alrighty, so I'll leave you guys with a nice little acceleration here, like I always do. That's so fun. I still love the way this thing sounds. I know some people might hate it because it's a Mustang, but I think it sounds really sick. And it's still got plenty of power to have fun. I tell you, I do love this thing still. It's just, I just wish it would be 100% perfect and not have any issues. But anyway, thank you guys very much for watching. I'll see you next week. Take care.